Alright everybody, welcome back to the review channel. Today we have a fun video for you. You see, I'm a bit of a knife aficionado. And normally I only buy the highest quality blades. But I thought, what if instead I only bought cheap pieces of junk? And the idea for this video was born. I went ahead and I bought the 5 cheapest knives on Amazon so you don't have to. And we're going to review them right here, right now. Now the knives had to meet the following criteria to be accepted in this test. Number 1, they had to be 3 stars and up rating. Number 2, at least 50 reviews. Number 3, they had to have a 2-inch or longer blade. And number 4, be available for prime shipping. Let's see what we got. Alright, first in line is the Eagle Eye Camo Knife, $4.99. Open this thing here. Alright, decent size. It's got some serrations here. Little cheap feeling on the handle, but what do you expect? Okay, and then very important, stainless steel china. That's what you want to see on the blade.
Why do you keep using this? A lot of people say it's
China.
racist.
It's not racist at all, no, not at all. It comes from China.
Okay, that's number 1. Number 2 on the list, the V Funko Folding Pocket Knife, $5.99. So we're getting a little pricey here. Let's see this one. Okay, this one has kind of a cool tactical look. A little bit stiff to open. Also a serrated blade. And some holes in the knife here, I assume to save on material. What looks like a seatbelt cutter here. Right, but feels sturdy. A little bit nicer than the last one, I guess $1 nicer. Okay. Next on the list is the GVDV Metal Folding Pocket Knife, also $5.99. Oh, this one's wrapped up. Sometimes you need a knife to open your other knives. So make sure that you always have at least 1 spare knife on you. Personally, I go for 3 or 4. Thank you, spare knife. All right, okay, I'll say the box is nicer, I'll say. So the first 2, it came in like this, or just, yeah, this, that sucks. This is a nice little box. You could give this to somebody for Christmas, they wouldn't know it's a piece of crap right away. Things like Fort Knox. Okay, here we go. Okay, again, kind of nice presentation. Got a little inner box. Okay, this one actually has a pretty cool look. It's a little smaller, but I like the blade. It seems sturdy, and it's got this sort of rectangular looking handle. Okay, I don't know how ergonomic it is, but it's kind of a cool look. Next on the list is the Tac Force Spring Assisted Folding Knife, also $5.99. Right. It's got tactical tape. All right, this one a little bit more stylish. Look at this. It's a kind of a rainbow pattern. It's got a glass breaker on the side here, and then the spring assisted opening. Okay. Okay, already a bit of a problem here. It's not locking out at all. So that's an issue. I think I can just push the lock. Alright, well this one might not fare too well in our testing if it won't lock open. And last but not least, the Shih Tzu, I don't know, Mini Keychain Folding Knife 2-piece. Are there 2 in here? A questionable packing job. What's in here? Oh, there are in fact 2. Now just from the size of this, it looks like this is quite a small knife, but it has at least that 2-inch blade. So we're going to test it. Yeah, this is a small guy. But having said that, I like the look, the chrome look here. It's got a little carabiner on the end. That's kind of neat, so you can attach it to a keychain or your belt or whatever. Feels sturdy. Blade looks good. Okay, so it looks interesting. But looks can only tell you so much. So I've designed a highly scientific battery of tests to run these bad boys through with an associated grading system. Let me explain that system. So in each test, the only possible scores are 0, 1, and 2. A 0 score means you failed the test or got an unacceptable result. It's kind of like an F grade. 1 point is acceptable passing. It's kind of like a C grade. And then 2 points will be equal to exceptional, exceeded expectations, and that's kind of like an A grade. I'm going to run all the tests and add up all the points at the end. Whichever knife has the highest number of points at the end wins. Of course, if at any point a knife becomes broken or inoperable, that's an automatic fail and you're out of the competition. Now here are the tests, which will increase in difficulty as we go down the line. All of these tests will be done with the knives as they are right out of the box. First out of the gate, we'll have our blade cutting test, done on a standard piece of paper and on your average tomato, known as the strongest of all vegetables or fruit. I'm not sure which is correct, and I don't think anybody knows. But either way, the point of the test is to see if the blade will cut through cleanly or tear the item. The next test will be a safety test, where we will do a drop test from 6 feet, both folded and unfolded. Our third test will have to do with weatherproofing or corrosion resistance, where we will soak each knife in a bath of salt water for 24 hours. Our fourth test will be to test the knive's strength or toughness, using a technique called wood batoning. Wood batoning is when you take a knife, you put it on one piece of wood like this, and then you hit it on the back with another piece of wood in order to split it down the middle. It's something that camping knives or survival knives, heavy-duty knives, are supposed to be able to do for the purpose of making kindling or just smaller pieces of firewood. It's also a great way to ruin cheap knives. Now, in the event that any of these knives make it through all 4 rounds and there's some sort of a tie that needs to be broken, I do have a 5th bonus round. It's a mystery test that you're just gonna have to wait and see what it is when we get there. So those are all the tests that we have. Now for you following along at home, I want you to pause the video for a second and pick which knife you think is gonna win. All right, let's get started. All right, here we go, test number 1. First up, the Eagle Eye Camo knife. Let's test it on the paper here. Not cutting so good. Let's try with the tomato. Okay, pretty good slice on the tomato here. All right, I'm gonna give that a 1 point. Next up, we got our V Funko folding knife. Again, the paper test. Ooh, that is ripping the paper. That's not, well, a little bit of a cut. All right, let's test on the tomato here. Slicing pretty good through the tomato. Okay, we'll go ahead and give that one a 1 score as well. All right, next up we have the GVDV. First on the paper. Okay, I would say that's cutting a little bit. How about on the tomato? I would say slicing pretty cleanly through the tomato. Also acceptable, score of 1. Next up we got our Tac Force spring assisted knife here on the paper. Okay, I'd say it's a pretty clean cut through the paper. Now onto the tomato, let's find a free spot. Okay, clean slice through the tomato. So far, all these knives are doing acceptable. Another 1 point. Last but not least, we have our Shih Tzu keychain knife. Find a spot here on the paper. Clean spot. Also cutting through reasonably well. And the tomato, let's see. Yeah, biting in easily, not ripping at all. Okay, I have to give this one a number 1 as well. So to recap, for the first test, all of our knives were acceptably sharp coming out of the box. None of them really wowed us, but none of them failed either. So we've got a dead heat. We're all tied up with 1 point each going into the second round. Now onto our safety test. You see that I have my safety equipment on because I don't trust these knives not to shatter into a billion pieces. Now, I think actually this test might start to separate the men from the boys. I'm already having doubts about the Tac Force spring assisted knife. I don't think it's locking open as it is, so we'll see if it breaks completely. Here we go. First test, Eagle Eye Camo, 6-foot drop test. Okay, satisfying. Still opens. All right, this one seems to have survived with no issues. Got to give that 2 points. Number 2, V Funko, 6-foot drop test. Okay, opened up on the ground. It seems a little unsafe. Let's give this one another drop. Okay, well, it still works, but due to the fact that it opened when it was closed after it dropped on the ground, I gotta give this only 1 point. Here's our GVDV 6-foot drop test. Again, opened up on the ground. I don't like that. Not too safe. Testing when it's open. Okay, it survived, got some minor cosmetic damage, but again, gonna give this one 1 point. Okay, Tac Force, visually the most appealing knife, but doesn't lock open. That's a problem. All right, here we go. All right, stayed shut. Let's see if the spring still works. Okay, it does. Let's try again. And there we see it that it's broken. It's not locking open. So I got to give this one a fail. 0 points for safety. Last but not least, our Shih Tzu. Now this one's interesting. It doesn't really lock open. It just kind of, it's got some friction there, but there's no button or anything you need to push, which I don't like. But let's test it. First drop test. This one's also very light, so maybe not a lot of impact on the ground. Testing again. And it kind of shut on its own. This one, I'm torn between a 0 and a 1. We're going to give it a 1. We're going to give it a passing grade because it still is technically functional. I just don't like the fact that it doesn't lock. So this one you would have to be a little bit careful of. Well, there we have it for round 2. So we're already seeing some differentiation between the knives. We got a 2 point, we got a couple of 1 points, and we got a 0 point. So I think by the rules that we set for ourselves here, we have to eliminate a knife, this Tac Force spring assisted knife. Turns out it's all form and no function. It kind of came out of the box like this, so you might say it's unfair, didn't necessarily break in the test, but I gave it 0 points because it just does not lock open. It's a serious safety hazard, and for that reason, Tac Force spring assisted knife, you're eliminated. Afuera! And now for our weatherproofing / corrosion test, I have here a warm container of salt water, very corrosive. We're going to put all the knives in here and leave them for a full 24 hours and see if there's any effects. So it's been a little bit more than 24 hours. Let's check the results. Okay, open it up. All right. First, as always, Eagle Eye Camo. Notice 0 rust at all. Let's make sure it still works. Still works perfectly. Okay, a little tiny bit of rust on the back here, 1 screw, but can just wipe that off. So nothing on the blade. I got to give this one 2 points. On to V-Funko. This one also is showing basically 0 signs of rust. Just again, the tiniest bit on the screws in the back, but nothing on the blade at all. Let's see if it still works. Yep, still works fine. All right, got to give this one a 2. Next up, GVDV. Once again, little to no rust. Okay, these are actually performing a lot better than I thought. In fact, I see 0 rust on this one. All right, and let's check to make sure it still opens and closes. Yeah, got to give this one a 2. Last but not least, Shih Tzu. And what's this one looking like? Quite a bit of rust. Okay, this blade definitely performed the worst. Yeah, I'm noticing blade pitting and rust. So it not only did it rust, but it ate away a little bit of the blade here, which is pretty impressive for just being in here 24 hours. Okay, let's check, see if it still opens and closes though. All right. Well, I can wipe away most of the rust. I'm gonna give this one 1 point. It's still in the game. Overall, I'm pretty surprised at the results of this test. The first 3 knives showed basically 0 corrosion. Obviously, I didn't have it in the water that long, but still impressive for a cheap blade. The last blade, the Shih Tzu, that one had a little bit of damage, so it got less points. But overall, I would say they all perform pretty well. Now on to batoning, the test that I'm most excited about because I think it's going to be the most destructive. As you can see, I've got my full safety gear on. I've got the helmet here. I beat up some night to get these cool gloves.
Victory is mine. We thank thee, Lord, that in thy mouth.
So let's go ahead and get started. By the way, you can see that I have approximately 4 equal-sized pieces of wood. They're between 2.5 to 3 inches in diameter, and I don't know, about 6 or 7 inches tall, roughly. So let's see how they do. Knife number 1, Eagle Eye Camo. Wow, I am impressed. First of all, it's a pretty good baton job, huh? Eagle Eye Camo. This thing is really impressing me. No damage at all. Went right through the wood. Doesn't feel loose or anything. Gotta give it a 2. Next up, V-Funko. Make it through? Not all the way. A little bit more. There we go. Again, right through. Ooh, blade's a little looser than before. Let's see. Okay, I'm a little bit of wobble to the blade, suggesting that it did sustain damage. All right. Well, but it did split the wood just fine, as you can see. So, because the blade seems to be a little bit weaker, I'm gonna give this a 1. Next up, GVDV. Like butter. Oh, but I definitely... Oh, but there's definitely some damage here. Did it break it is the question. Okay, this blade, you know what? There's a lot of wobble to this blade, and the thumb catch, the part where you open it with your thumb, that's now sort of cockeyed into the side. You know what? I think this knife is done for. 0 points. Okay, and then finally we have the mighty Shiksu blade. Oh, catastrophic failure. Look at this. The blade is in pieces. Oh, hold on. The blade is completely broken. Catastrophic failure. Definitely 0 points. So as promised and as I expected, this was our most destructive test of all. The GVDV blade, although technically it survived, it's basically unusable now. There's a lot of play in the blade here. The thumb opener here is spinning freely. So GVDV, you're eliminated. Afuera! In addition, my good friend the Shiksu knife is completely broken. The blade just broke in the wood there. Obviously a catastrophic failure. Shiksu, you're eliminated, dog. Afuera! But my friends Eagle Eye Camo and V Funko are still holding the line, although V Funko is a little bit loose. Eagle Eye Camo still holding real strong.
Here we are with the 4 original tests now completed, and the results are as follows. All of the knives did well out of the gate, with the exception of the Tac Force spring assisted knife, which is hot garbage, and I suspect was trying to skate by on its good looks alone. All the knives were doing well until we got to the wood baton test, which eliminated both the GVDV and the Shiksu knives, leaving only the extremely impressive Eagle Eye Camo knife, which has been an absolute monster, taking everything I've thrown at it and asking for more, and the scrappy V Funko knife, which is still hanging in there despite some chinks in the armor. Now, I did say at the beginning of this video that I am holding in reserve a 5th bonus test, if necessary, a secret test if you will, to differentiate between the winners if there's a need to do so. And although the Eagle Eye Camo knife is in the lead, in sort of a comfortable lead, there's a potential situation where if there was another test and that knife scored a 0 and the V Funko scored a 2, then they would be back to even. Any other situation and the Eagle Eye Camo knife runs away with this thing and takes home the trophy. And because of that situation, and frankly just because I want to, I hereby introduce you to test number 5, the final round. This one's for all the marbles.
We're gonna blowtorch these things. Real simple test. We've got a blowtorch, we've got a knife and a vise, and we've got a timer. We're going to blowtorch this knife and time it and see how long it takes to fail. We're going to compare the 2 times. Now, of course, the Funko is playing from behind here, so it's going to have to massively outclass the Eagle Eye Camo to pull out even a tie. Let's get started. Safety first. Here we go. Start the timer. Glove on.
All right, let's check this thing out. Superficially, it looks pretty good for being blowtorch for 5 minutes. Let's check out the mech. Oh, okay, the blade is very wobbly. I don't know if you can hear this. Yeah, very, very wobbly. This, I think, would definitely be unsafe to use. Well, really, even though it's a little wobbly more than before, it did survive the blowtorch test. It is still working. It would still cut. It is still locking. I think I'm forced to give this a 1. It looks like it's on the verge of breaking, but it's not broken yet. So V-Funko gets a 1. Okay, and now for the thrilling conclusion. Can my boy, the Eagle Eye Camo, match the performance of V-Funko and need to survive for 5 minutes under a blowtorch? Let's see. I'm a little bit worried because the handle is plastic. That could be a problem. Here we go. Oh. Oh, look at this! The handle's caught on fire! Oh no! 3 minutes, 24 seconds in! Oh, I better put this fire out. Jeez. Okay, small safety break to put this fire out. This is really disappointing. This is really disappointing. I gotta say, I know I'm not supposed to have favorites, but I was really rooting for Eagle Eye Camo. It was the plastic. The handle of the plastic is what did it in. I think the blade is fine, but it got so hot that it melted the plastic handle and caught on fire. Look what they did to my boy.
Look how they messed with my boy.
Well, obviously you know what it is. 0 points. Oh, look at this! The handle's caught on fire! Oh no! 3 minutes, 24 seconds in! Oh, I better put this fire out. Wow, what a thrilling conclusion. The V-Funko knife coming from behind for the win. Battered but not broken. Incredible. It was the metal handle that saved this one. So, like I said, it's not in great shape. You wouldn't say it's in great shape, but it survived. So, 1 point for the V-Funko knife. And of course for my poor Eagle Eye Camo. It's okay. You can rest now. Unfortunately, you're eliminated.
Afuera!
Well, that was an absolute blast. Let's see how things stacked up at the end. So starting from worst to best, here's how our mighty gladiators fared. Coming in at a pathetic 5th place, we have the Tac Force spring-assisted knife, which was pretty much useless out of the box. In a shameful 4th place, we have the Shiksu keychain knife, which to be fair was in a pack of 2, but ultimately just couldn't hang with the big boys. Now for the bronze medal, in 3rd place we have the GV-DV knife, performing admirably but beaten within an inch of its life in the batoning test. The silver medal, 2nd place, goes to the mighty Eagle Eye Camo knife. Sturdy, sleek, stylish, but with the fatal flaw of having a cheap plastic handle. A worthy contender that ultimately came up short. And finally, our glorious winner is the unstoppable V-Funko folding knife, the comeback kid, king of all trash tier knives. And that's really not fair because this knife is very tough and still standing after all of our comprehensive tests. A worthy addition to any knife collector's junk drawer. And for $5.99, you'll get no complaints from me. And now to celebrate this great win, we have a prize for our 1st place winner, Destruction with Extreme Prejudice. Well, there we have it, testing the 5 cheapest knives on Amazon. Now you can find that perfect gift for that special person in your life that you don't like very much and are looking for the best of the worst presents possible to give them. As always, thank you so much for watching the video. Like and subscribe to the channel, comment for the algorithm, and I'll see you in the next one.